This is a mainship 40, and it lives in our building. And this time last year we got ready and we painted the bottom. And this bottom is painted with the Petit Echo green ablative anti-fouling paint. And the purpose of this paint is to pass the state of Maryland requirement of no pollution with metallurgical ingredients in the paint that bother the sea life and contribute to the pollution in the bay. And it is also to look at this boat and anticipate that we can prepare it well enough that it will be barnacle free and growth free for an entire season. And that means there won't be a need for a diver. And we apply this logic to the bottom of the boat, the shafts, the propellers, the rudders, everything. And when we don't get perfect results, we like to talk about them and understand why. So the purpose of this look is to go over this boat and see. Now, it looks really clean. I mean, this bottom, the coatings look really, really good. And it looks really, really clean. And don't let that fool you, because we have a 5,000 PSI pressure washer. And it really does a nice job. It gets the bottom so clean that we can literally apply paint many times without any sanding even. Okay, so let's look forward at this bow thruster area. The bow thruster area is not so perfect. And we look at it, we say, well, why is this? Why do we have barnacles around this bow thruster area?
I'm coming down, John.
Okay, come on down. Why do we have them any on this propeller? Well, the blades of the propeller, there hasn't been perfect adhesion of the paint. And normally what I like to do is to strip the propeller and then prime it with epoxy bottom primer and then put the paint on several coats. And I like to spray it on, and then those propellers, they really hold it. And they can hold it for years. But this area here is not reacting very well with the paint. And it's not reacting very well with the paint for one reason. This bow thruster tube had to be worked on as it had a defect. And this is epoxy that was put on after the tube was repaired. And it's very possible that this paint, this Echo paint, is reacting with the epoxy primer, and as a result it changed the characteristics of anti-fouling to the point that it allowed these barnacles. So let's look on the other side. So over here we sort of have the same thing in the same area. But nowhere else on this bottom do we see any problem. This bottom. Okay, this is an area along this chine that's got a little bit of wear. This edge, I noticed it up in the bow a little bit, but this very minor. Back here, this trim tab, it's interesting. On the bottom, it stayed clean. On the back edge, for some reason, it's picked up something. And these normally resist barnacles, but for some reason they like it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the trim tabs on the bottom too, though. They've got some.
Your rudders are pretty clean.
Rudders are pretty clean. There's some barnacles on the bottom of the trim tabs. Rudders are pretty clean. The propeller over there needs to be. We got to clean it.
Well, there's obviously some kind of reaction going here with it. Now let's look at the strut. This strut was done.
Yeah.
It stayed pretty darn clean, despite the fact that it came out of the water. And I see that they did work on your prop a little bit.
Well, I mean, they cleaned it, because if you look at the other one, it's...
No, they had to rebalance it. Somewhere along, you didn't know this, but you hit something.
I have no idea. Never felt it. I never hit it.
You hardly ever feel it.
No.
This is a 2000, I think, and 3. This trim tab has the zinc spray on it.
Oh, okay, uh-huh.
This does not have,
Doesn't have the
see, this is the zinc spray.
the spring, yeah, I see it, yeah.
And let's look at his rudder. He's got a
Pretty
couple
good.
of barnacles.
Not much.
Now, he keeps his boat in Island Creek. They brought it up from Cape Charles in like November. And they had a diver clean the barnacles off this boat before they brought it up here. Believe in putting any prop speed or zinc on it. So he puts bottom paint on it, and look,
Yeah,
the boat has no barnacles, but
but that does,
That
because the
does.
bottom paint isn't gonna protect that
no,
metal.
it's not. Okay, now here is a feathering prop on a 40-foot Cape Dory. And this feathering prop is full of barnacles. It has no coatings. And this boat came up from Miami. All right. Okay, so here's the first strand back. And what you're looking at is this shaft has already been cleaned and sanded, as has the prop, and the bottom is basically prepared and ready to put on. And if you look carefully, you see how this ablative paint has worn away in these areas.
Yeah, uh-huh, yeah, I see.
Okay, and it's worn it away around here. Now, your boat doesn't show that much wear because you haven't run it that much.
Yeah.
So that means that we can probably freshen up the
Scrub it a little and
Yeah.
we're good, I think, on the bottom paint.
with this, just scratch it up.
Yeah,
Right. And in places, okay, but this is what this paint's supposed to do. It's supposed to ablate itself from actual use.
yeah.
Okay, so then we look at this, and we look all over the bottom. This bottom's been gone over. Now, if you look at these through hulls, you see they're painted a different color. This one's green.
Yeah,
This goes back a couple years. So what I did a few years ago was I took all these through hull strainers off, and we stripped them, and then we put fresh epoxy primer on them, and then bottom paint, the strongest, heaviest bottom paint we can buy, with the most copper in it.
oh, yeah, you told me that, just on those.
Just on these things.
Yeah, right.
And they're perfect. So we don't get a single barnacle. So those areas where you have metal,
Yeah.
you have to have the most powerful stuff, even if it does, even the state doesn't like it. But you
But-
can always say the bottom's painted
Yeah, well,
with a non-toxic
I
stuff.
get your point, and the surface areas.
Has been maintained by a competitor boatyard. And that's what it looked like after one season, where they don't get it right anywhere. And it's a really good ad for us. And this one, we have a clientele of people who come from the northern neck of Virginia,
Okay.
Butch, and they bring their boats up here
Yeah,
because, well, look at this. I mean, this is very minimal amount of bottom prep and it's ready to go. And this guy, he's gonna come out and he's gonna put tarps down and he's gonna scrape these barnacles himself, because we're not doing it.
oh,
He wants to paint his own bottom.
okay,
He says the boatyard didn't do a very good job, he'll do it.
okay.
How about it? Knock yourself
That's a
out.
big bottom, so.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. See the white gel coat? That's the fiberglass.
Yeah,
See the damage to the keel?
yeah, he's drugged that thing on something.
He's been on the bottom there a lot. Good Butch.
Uh-huh.
It was sanded. We sanded the paint off
Oh, okay,
with vacuum sanders.
wow,
Because what we know about these bottoms is that the smoother you can get a bottom on a boat,
oh, yeah,
the more efficient it's going to be in terms of fuel.
yeah,
It's a it's up to 25% of fuel consumption comes from the bottom being rough. Okay, so over here, you can see a bow thruster tube, and you can see the beginning up here of where this paint wears away, naturally. And this one, you see this one? There's some electrolysis going on in this boat, because this area around this through hull is reacting.
I can see.
This boat is another boat that came from another boatyard. It looks terrible. These people want us to do a bottom job. They want us to sand or strip and do this bottom job in 20 grand. That's that bad. Now here's a really good one to look at for the ablation of this Echo paint.
Okay.
This boat was painted in like July of 2017.
Yep.
And last season, we didn't touch it up or anything. We just put it in the water, did a couple touch-ups, but it's really worn away here in the
See
back.
a little bit, yeah.
Quite a bit.
See where it's worn.
Yeah, it needs more coatings. So your answer to your question is yes. I think it would work.
Yeah.
So here's a boat with a metal keel, and it's bleeding up from up in here and up here. Famous race boat. And it's also got a propeller with no coating on it. This is what should have prop speed.
Yeah.
It's not very big. It's like putting a gold faucet in your little bathroom while you're under your steps, right? It would work.